All right, so today we're diving into some pretty cool stuff. BMW's NEC XT100 initiative
Yeah.
from way back in 2016 when they hit their 100-year anniversary. It's basically their big picture view
Yeah.
of how driving and mobility in general are going to change, like over the next century, right?
Yeah.
So you got this BMW XT100 research document you sent over, which really breaks it down.
It does.
All their main goals, the themes, even the concept cars.
Exactly. It lays out their objectives, like you said, the key themes they kind of predicted were going to be important. And we have the concept vehicles, too, like the BMW Vision Next 100.
Yeah.
And they really looked at all angles, the Mem and I Vision Next 100, which was interesting with that whole focus on sharing.
Oh, yeah.
They even did the luxurious Rolls-Royce Vision Next 100. Like, how does that brand fit into the future?
Right.
And then, maybe the most out there, the BMW Motorrad Vision Next 100 for motorcycles.
And some of the ideas were so out there.
Yeah.
Like alive geometry with the car's surface actually changing shape, 800 moving triangles. Can you imagine?
800 moving triangles.
It sounds wild, but also kind of awesome. And then
Right,
switching
yeah.
between boost mode for when you want to drive
Yeah.
and ease for when you want the car to take over.
Right, totally different experiences. And the car's interior changed completely depending on the mode.
And then they had the companion AI.
Mm.
That was still a bit sci-fi, but it's interesting to think about.
It is. And how about that idea with the Motorrad concept, where maybe one day motorcycle safety gear becomes, well, obsolete
Wow.
because the tech is so good. So we've got a lot to cover. Why don't we start with the 6 core hypotheses they laid out, and we can kind of trace how those were reflected in the concept cars, especially that BMW Vision Next 100, which was sort of the main attraction.
Yeah.
And then we can tie it all back to what BMW is doing now and how their vision stacks up against other car companies. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so hypothesis number 1 was that mobility was going to become much more, versatile, more options for getting around, which makes sense, especially as more and more people are living in cities.
Yeah, and you see that already, right? Even BMW themselves, they're pushing things like car sharing programs.
Right.
It's not just about owning a car anymore. It's about having access to whatever is the best way to get around at that moment.
Okay, so that's versatility. Hypothesis number 2 was that everything's going to be totally connected,
Oh, yeah.
digitally.
Mm.
Our cars, our lives, everything linked together. Not exactly a radical prediction, but it is interesting to think about the implications.
The big challenge there is how to make all that connectivity feel natural and helpful, not overwhelming or distracting.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants their car to feel like a smartphone on wheels, right?
Exactly. And that leads to their 4th point, which was about technology becoming more intuitive, more human-centric, really.
Okay, so like AI, learning your preferences, adapting to you, that kind of thing.
The car anticipating your needs instead of you having to constantly tell it what to do. That seamless interaction, that was key.
Interesting. Now, their third hypothesis, that was all about personalized mobility, becoming much more tailored to individual needs.
And that ties in with what we're seeing today with subscription services, and all these customizable features on cars.
Yeah. It's like they predicted we want our cars to be an extension of ourselves, almost.
Almost. And the tricky part there is how do you orchestrate this whole ecosystem of products and services to really deliver on that promise?
Good point. Now, point number 5, and this was a big one, energy.
Right.
BMW saw the future being emission-free. So a big commitment to sustainability.
And that's where their investments in electric vehicles really come into play. I mean,
Yeah.
even back in 2016, it was clear this was a core part of their strategy, not just some far-off dream.
Okay, and lastly, hypothesis number 6 was about responsibility. That companies would need to think more broadly about their impact on the world, not just about making profits.
Yeah, like environmental impact, social impact, all of it. So these were their guiding principles. So let's talk about how those came to life in the concept cars, starting with the BMW Vision Next 100, which was like the poster child for this whole initiative.
Yeah, that car was something else, that copper color scheme, the doors opening upwards, the whole thing was so futuristic.
And then you had the alive geometry. I mean, imagine the car's body actually changing shape, those 800 little triangles,
Hard to picture.
morphing to communicate information, or maybe even becoming aerodynamic when you're driving fast. They even talked about using 4D printing to make it happen.
4D printing, that's crazy. What even is that?
It's 3D printing, but with the 4th dimension being time, so the material can actually change shape over time.
Wow.
And the boost and ease modes, they were a perfect example of their philosophy. Boost puts the driver in complete control. The windshield becomes this huge head-up display showing you the ideal racing line, all the information you need.
And ease was for autonomous driving.
Right. And the whole interior transformed. The steering wheel retracted, the seats reclined. It basically became a lounge on wheels.
So comfortable, so relaxing.
Yeah.
And the companion AI, I mean, that was all about this seamless integration of technology, learning your habits, automating things, making your life easier without being intrusive.
Exactly. And then you had the other concepts like the Envision Next 100 with that whole every mini is my mini idea, basically a shared mobility concept for cities.
Interesting.
And the Rolls-Royce, of course, was all about personalized luxury, but in this autonomous, chauffeured kind of way. And then the Motorrad concept, like we said, pushing the boundaries of safety and connectivity, imagining a future where traditional gear isn't even needed.
It really feels like they thought about every angle.
They did. And what's really interesting is how each brand within BMW had its own take on those 6 core hypotheses. It wasn't just a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Right. Each brand adapted it to their own, personality.
Exactly. So pulling it all together, I think it's clear that Next T100 wasn't just a bunch of cool designs. It was a really strategic way of looking at the future, a framework for their innovation.
Yeah.
And when you see what BMW is doing today, their push towards electric vehicles, the focus on really sophisticated digital interfaces, it all lined up with that long-term vision.
It's like they planted the seeds back then, and now we're seeing those seeds sprout.
Yeah.
So the key takeaways are like versatile mobility, right? Having options, everything being connected.
Yeah.
Technology being designed to be truly human-centric, not just some complicated thing that you need a manual to figure out.
Right.
And of course, a commitment to sustainability, that emission-free future.
And responsibility to that broader sense of impact.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the BMW Vision X100 with that crazy alive geometry and the whole boost and ease concept, it really captured those ideas perfectly.
For sure, it was a very tangible way to see those principles in action. And, it's interesting to see how some of those elements from 2016 are starting to pop up in their current cars.
Like what?
Well, think about how the windshield is increasingly becoming an information display, right? And the whole in-car experience is getting more intuitive, more connected.
Oh, yeah. And hey, thinking about all this, here's a question for everyone listening.
Okay.
Given how strongly BMW believes in that emotional connection to driving, even as we move towards self-driving cars, what do you think the role of the driver will be in the future? Will we still want to get behind the wheel and just, enjoy the ride? Or will personal vehicles basically become these autonomous pods that just get us from A to B? BMW's Next T100 gives us a lot to think about in terms of where things are headed.
Definitely a lot to ponder.
Thanks for diving in with me today.
Always a pleasure.